I just float with it. Fuck what you did, I'm at your throat with it. You can learn something, take a note with it. Dedicated my life, I took an oath with it. For the blood of my brothers, we don't do no switching. I run with who I run with, ain't no clicking. Try me, do you done with no decision. Lead a scene like a Mack truck with 4 collisions. Pose everywhere, but they ain't gon' vote dissing. Coming at you live and direct, I don't do no dissing.
Hey, welcome to the show. All right, welcome to Real Time Revelations. I'm Officer 500 Ra'al of the ISUPK United Kingdom. All right, welcome. Tonight's show, tonight's show, for y'all that don't know, currently the Greater Manchester Police are being investigated for, abuse of power. And, for anybody who knows anything about the police and the history of the police and just the police in general, any dealings and interaction with the police, it comes by no surprise that they're being investigated for abuse of power, and especially in this sort of way, in this, this perversion of doing, strip searches and there's even, cases of an assault. It's no surprise because this whole empire, this whole kingdom is run by a crooked and perverse nation. According to the Bible, this oppressor who's running this earth is a crooked and perverse nation, right? And then he puts his own people in power, in the judicial system, in the courts, in the police. He has, the people that enforce the law are also the people that very regularly break the law. The whole thing, this whole kingdom is run by hypocrites and perverts. All right, now we're going to get into this story. We're going to get into, this comes from Sky News. They did an investigation. They did a deep dive or a report into 3 stories of women being abused. And there's also a case of a brother being abused. All right, now we're going to get into the story very shortly. Now, for those of you who are new to the show or new to the channel, make sure you follow. If you're new to the show, I do this show every Monday and every Thursday from 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. live here on TikTok. All right, so live on the ISUPK United Kingdom TikTok page. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to read into the article, right? So this comes from Sky News. Let me go ahead and read the article. All right, shalom to everybody I can see is watching. All right, shalom, Lord in Christ. I see Brenda Iverson. I see Neil Francis. I see Kayala. You know what I'm saying? Shalom, Lord in Christ. All right, so we're going to get into this article. So, Greater Manchester Police makes improvements in treatment of women, including new rules on strip searches, but questions remain. Okay, so this is a recent thing now. Recently, I think roughly a year later, they're saying now, okay, we're making improvements in the treatment of women. We're making the improvements and new rules regarding strip searches, which is always the story. You know what I'm saying? They get caught out doing something vile and crazy, and then a few months later, we're making improvements. This is terrible. We're making improvements. We're revamping the system. The same thing with the whole Christian church and the Church of England we did on, last Thursday. They're always saying, we're just continuing to make improvements. We had no idea this was happening. Listen, they know, how many cameras are in a police department. You know how many cameras and evidence is in, a police like headquarters or where they're detaining people in the police. And you're telling me, okay, now in 2024, improvements are being made in the treatment of women. You cannot trust your oppressor to make any real improvement. This is why we, especially as Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians who get preyed on the most, we cannot trust our oppressor to, police us. We cannot trust the man who, used to lynch us for fun and unalive us for fun and feed our children to alligators to provide any form of justice, to provide any form of safety to us. Really, the ISUPK, we are those who govern Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. If you have a problem, if you have something going on, you need assistance, you should call the ISUPK. You should call the ISUPK and you should get righteous judgment. You should get righteous assistance without being abused. In some of these stories which you're going to play on, some of the people who were being abused and were being strip searched were victims of domestic violence cases. So now you're being, abused by this person. I think it was a woman being abused by some man, and she called the police on him. He was arrested, and then he said something, he said she did something, and then she was detained and strip searched. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people who should police Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians are not these hypocrites. It's not, you know, the GMP, it's not the Greater Manchester Police, it's not the Metropolitan Police. We're going to read into a story about them, which, you know what I'm saying, which we've been over before. But, you know, in light of this whole thing, this whole investigation, you know, is high time to bring this back up. And this case still is not being resolved. All right, because this oppressor absolutely cannot give you justice. Justice, it just isn't in his, you know, it doesn't, I don't think he comprehends. It's not quite in his, you know, dictionary. It's not quite in his vocabulary. All right, but we're going to get into this thing, right? So a Sky News investigation last year described by Mayor Andy Burnham, so that's the mayor over Manchester, as a credit, found that GMP officers had inappropriately strip searched 3 women while in custody. After a major report, the force announced it has ended the practice and made other improvements. So now they're saying, okay, strip search, because of this investigation, because of what they would have found in that investigation and that report, they're now saying, okay, well, strip searching as a whole has been, you know, ended. They've ended the practice. We're going to read on. They really haven't ended the practice, right? But they're saying, you know, they've ended it and we've made improvements. Let's read on. All right, Greater Manchester Police says it has made wide-ranging changes to the treatment of women in custody following a Sky News investigation. This includes ending the use of police strip searches for welfare purposes. So that's what they say they've ended. It's not they've ended strip searches. They've ended using police strip searches for welfare purposes, right? And ensuring, which I don't know how you could use, you know, a strip search as, you know, for welfare. I don't know, in you know, unless it's applying first aid, where I think in some cases you need to access like the chest area, but you know how to strip a person naked, right, in order to apply like even the defibrillator, right? You don't have to strip a person completely naked and expose their body to everybody, you know what I'm saying? But they're saying they've ended the use of strip searches for welfare purposes and ensuring it's a last resort when looking for concealed items. Well, there are many things that the police do that should be a last resort, but they do it anyway. For example, you know, you look at that police that unalived Sonia Massey. Unalived Sonia Massey because, you know, she had a pot of water, which she had already dropped by the time he unloaded the clip and emptied the clip into that sister. Which, a deadly force should be used as what? A last resort. You cannot trust this oppressor. There's no checks and balances when it comes to, you know, when it comes to him just unaliving people or abusing people. All right, but we're going to get into now, I'm going to get into the report. We're going to get into the video. All right, so let's get it. Give me 1 second. Let me share it to the stream. And let me drop the Chrome. All right, so now we got the investigation.
During my detention with Greater Manchester Police, I was drugged and sexually assaulted. Prove me wrong.
It was all power. Police on a power trip to shut me up.
If I was a man, I don't think they would have done it. I was treated like a piece of meat.
I believe she was raped. I believe she was raped by an officer.
Who's got something to hide?
How vulnerable are women in police custody?
The only reason why they did what they did was to degrade me.
With the recent spotlight on misogyny and predatory behaviour within the police,
It's just something that the police do for their own perverse kicks.
we hear testimony of 3 women who say they were stripped naked without justification, one claiming she was raped in a police cell.
So now, you know, now there's a spotlight on, you know, these let's say misogyny and these practices by the police, which now these 3 women that's been reported, these are all, I believe, one's like some Arab woman or East Indian, and the other 2 are white, right? Now just think of this is how these people are being treated. Think of how worse Black women are being treated. Because now on top of the, you know, misogynism and predatory practices, now you have the racism added onto it as well. Because you know this oppressor, you know what this man is like. So you have these women that have come forward and they talk about their stories. You just think about how Black women are treated. If this is how, you know, that this is how they're treating their own. All right, I'm gonna play on the video.
So are you doing that for?
It begins in February 2021, a welfare call out to a woman high on cocaine. Zaina Iman was arrested after police broke into her house
Drugs, cocaine.
and she knocked the glasses off a female officer's face.
No, you can't help me.
She passed out in a police van but was taken to a Greater Manchester police station.
No.
I'm carried in, appear to be unconscious. I'm being restrained despite not being responsive and handcuffed. My jeans are taken down, my underwear is cut off, knickers and the bra, as well as my top. They then put oversized custody shorts with a belt on and leave me face down in the cell, still unconscious, with no top on and no blanket given.
The search is
Good and nice. So they detained this woman who was, high on class A narcotics, on cocaine, right? She was definitely high, but they detained this woman, arrested her, put her in the back of a police van, brought her to the station, and now they completely strip her of her clothes, underwear, bra, and everything. They put on these shorts on her, and then they just leave her face down, unconscious and topless, which is insane. They just have her on a mat. It's cold in these police rooms. They just have her on some mat with no blanket, no nothing, no covering, just, her top off and some oversized shorts with no, no underwear. It's just, like, good night. Like, I don't know what situation, I don't know what crime, there is no crime that really calls for this. It calls for somebody to be left, face down, just in a cell or whatever, in a holding cell, just topless and, with no provisioning, no care, unconscious and face down. So she could, she could end up suffocating herself. Like there's no, and the person's gonna go who speaks next. There's no duty of care here. These are supposed to be the people that, protect and serve. But what are they protecting here? Who are they serving?
conducted by women. Zaina obtained this footage using a subject access request. She shared it with former Greater Manchester Police Chief Superintendent Martin Harding.
She's left face down, hands behind her back, when they suspect that she might have had a drugs overdose.
Oh, not only is she, face down, topless and unconscious, she's also handcuffed. She's still handcuffed with her hands behind her back. So even if she wanted to help herself, her hands are still, I don't know if they removed the handcuffs at this point, but, she's still unconscious and face down, just left like this is crazy. This is insane to see. And now it just makes me think, like, how much worse were they treating our sisters in there? How much worse were they treating our sisters when they detain them in these holding cells? And there's so much CCTV everywhere. So this type of thing, like, you should at least have, like, good night. Doing this where there's cameras everywhere is crazy. Then it makes you think, okay, well, what are they doing when the cameras are off? What are they doing when the body cams are off? When they're in the back of the police van where there isn't any CCTV footage. What are they doing there? How are they treating people? The people they're supposed to be, protecting. A good night.
So where is the duty of care?
Yeah. And what was the justification for doing any of that?
I've seen no justification at all. I expected to see on the custody record the custody sergeant give the authority and explain the grounds for the requirement for a strip search. I've seen none of that on the custody record.
So even on the custody record, which is a record of they have to keep a record of everything that happens while you're in their care, while you're in their custody. There isn't even a report of a reason that she would be strip searched. There isn't even a reason on there for her to be strip searched. I don't think it was even recorded that she was strip searched. You can see very clearly by the footage how she was treated. Let me run it back a little bit.
Where is the duty of care?
Yeah. And what was the justification for doing any of that?
I've seen no justification at all. I expected to see on the custody record the custody sergeant give the authority and explain the grounds for the requirement for a strip search. I've seen none of that on the custody record.
So there was no authority given in order to do a strip search, and there was also no ground, meaning no reason for them to do a strip search. So this is just a complete abuse of power. I don't know what sick, perversion they got. I do know what sick perversion they got going on, but there's no, they could even, try and come up with a reason of why they just, they had to do this to this woman. There's not even, there's just nothing on the report. It's just blank.
I wasn't a suicide risk at the time.
Yeah.
I was unconscious, so I needed medical attention. But instead of providing an unconscious female medical attention, they thought, I know, let's take her clothes off instead and leave her there naked.
The following year, in October 2022, Kirsty, not her real name, was stripped naked in the same police station.
Now, in the same station, this other woman was, this other white woman was strip searched. Let's go into this story.
After being accused of blackmail by someone that she had accused of sexually abusing her sister.
So after being accused of blackmail, so from somebody that she accused of sexually assaulting her sister. So somebody allegedly sexually assaulted her sister. She called the police and complained and had them investigated. And then that person complained to her that she was blackmailing him. And then for some reason, I don't know where the reason for a strip search comes here, but for some reason she was taken to the station and strip searched again. With no, I don't know what strip searching have to do with blackmail, but I don't know. Maybe we're gonna see a reason. Maybe we're gonna see something.
They said to me they was going to strip search me, so I was like, strip search me for what? Because they said I'm concealing. I said, I'm not concealing nothing. They told me if I didn't go in, they were basically going to tackle me to the floor and take my clothes off me anyway, so...
Good night. So if she didn't go into the police station, meaning she had to willingly go and be subject to a strip search, which is just incredibly invasive. She had to willingly go. If she didn't, they would have come to her house and tackled to the ground and strip searched her. Like, good night. Where is the, there's just no hiding. There's not even an attempt to hide this sort of activity. Like, this is crazy. Imagine you're in your own home. You've, there's somebody who you claim is assaulting your sister. You have them arrested. Then they claim you're blackmailing them. And now all of a sudden you have to be strip searched, or you're going to be tackled to the ground and forcefully your clothes taken off you. So now, not only was her sister allegedly sexually assaulted, now she's being sexually assaulted by the police, by the very people who are supposed to help in a situation where people are being abused, or people, if someone's being sexually assaulted, you do what? You call the police. Now the police are going around sexually assaulting people, or, threatening to tackle them to the ground and take her clothes off. Like, good night.
She believes the police were heavy-handed because she'd made complaints against them about the way they investigated the sexual abuse allegations concerning her sister.
And now we get into the reason why they were doing this to her, right? Because she had complained, she made a complaint against the police about how they dealt with the situation with her sister, how they dealt with the assault allegation with her sister. She complained, and now this person, randomly makes a, oh, she's blackmailing me. And now all of a sudden she has to be strip searched because she's concealing. Concealing what? She's concealing something, to blackmail this person just inside of her body or something? What's going on?
And she'd recorded a conversation with a police officer on her phone.
Power. It was all power. Police on a power trip to shut me up. It's to make me scared. It's to show we're boss, not you.
And again, this isn't, this isn't a story about some mob family or this, trying to show power to shut somebody up so that, they don't tell the police. This is the police. These are meant to be the people that you can, trust to protect and serve and provide, justice, provide, a right judgment. And these are the people that are doing these sorts of things. It's the same thing with the church. Like because the church claims to be holy and claims to be about God and about Christ, you think, okay, well, the church wouldn't do something so, crazy. Meanwhile, you find out they're abusing and assaulting every child you bring to their summer camp. Every single child you bring to their summer camp is being abused and, groomed and, all sorts of different things happening to them. The same thing with the police. You trust them to, okay, these are meant to be, upstanding citizens that uphold the law. You wouldn't think, okay, you wouldn't think they assaulting people the same way, the average, assaulter or somebody who's on the offenders list just goes around assaulting people. You wouldn't think, but they're moving the same way. You gonna play on?
This year, May 2023, Maria, who we're not identifying, was strip searched at the same police station. Her partner had been arrested and detained for alleged domestic violence against her.
And then this is another story, another woman who's been strip searched, another oppressor woman, right? In this case, this was a domestic violence situation where she called the police on her husband who was abusing her, right? I believe it was strangling her and, doing this and that. And then in her trying, I think he gouged the eyes, things like that, abusing this woman. Like, it's evident that he's abusing this woman. She has, and then she, in fighting back, was probably hitting this person. And now when that man goes to the police station, he says, it's in the article, I read it briefly, but he says, oh, well, I did abuse this woman, but, about 8 months ago, she smashed the wind mirror of my car. And, when I was strangling her, she was hitting me and I have bruises on my arm. So she should be detained also. And so they go and detain this woman. And then for some reason in that, they strip search her also. Like, they're just finding, your oppressor finds any reason to just abuse somebody, like a bully. You know who applies to be a police officer? Bullies who couldn't make the army. You couldn't make the army and, be unaliving people with heavy artillery. They join the police force, and now they abuse people. They abuse that power because the people who were in that police force are just a group of bullies. These are the type of roles a bully goes into because now he has some power and authority to abuse you. Now, now he doesn't get in trouble when he strip searches you. If anybody else did it, it would be a sexual assault. But now he doesn't get in trouble or he doesn't get questioned because he's the police. He's the authority. Good night.
And she'd come to get the house keys from him. After several hours of making calls to the police from outside the station, she was arrested for malicious communications, the allegation that she'd sworn at the police during a call. The duty officer ordered a strip search.
Good night. So apparently, okay, she gets charged with malicious communication. She swore at a police officer, and the police officer said, bet, we're going to strip search you. Like, you're supposed to have, I don't think, the UK doesn't necessarily have freedom of speech, but it's kind of implied, right? But somebody can't just, a police officer can't just say, okay, well, she said a swear word, so I brutally beat them. That can't be a justification. It can't be, okay, she said a swear word, so, I detained her and strip searched her. There's no correlation. As a police officer, you're supposed to be trained and, professional in dealing with people. Not everybody is going to, be all happy clappy and friendly and, comply with the police or talk to the police in the most respectable manner. Not everybody's going to do that, but you're supposed to have the professionalism and have the self-restraint to not, curb stomp that person's face in or something like that. Not unalive a person because they looked at you funny. But they just, as I said, the police force is just full of bullies who couldn't make the army. You want to play on?
Once I'd taken everything off, I was like holding my stomach a little bit, trying to keep my dignity. And then she said, no, you need to sit down and open your legs. And then I was a bit like apprehensive to open my legs. And then she was like, no, you need to open them fully so I can see in there.
Were these police officers who were strip searching you aware that you were an alleged victim of a domestic abuse assault only the night before?
Yeah, they were aware.
To authorise strip searches, police have to have reasonable grounds to believe someone is concealing something significant. A weapon, drugs, maybe crucial evidence, such as a mobile phone or a SIM card. Police have told us.
Right. So, you know, in order to approve or, you know, give the go ahead for a strip search, they have to have reasonable suspicion that you're concealing something dangerous or something, you know, important evidence. It has to be like a weapon or a knife or narcotics, you know what I'm saying, or maybe a mobile phone or something that's key evidence, right? That could be used in an investigation. Now, what justification did they give to, you know, strip search this woman? Let's see.
They thought Maria might have been concealing a vape.
They thought this woman, the reason they authorized a strip search was because they thought she was concealing a vape, which a vape is not even remotely illegal. A vape is not, you know, it's not a dangerous weapon. It's not class A narcotics. It's not illegal in that way. And it's not, you know, evidence. Even if she was concealing a vape inside of her downstairs area, there wouldn't even be a reason to, you know, strip search her. But that's the justification they gave, and they authorized it. And still, you know, who was fired for this? Who gets, you know, where's the accountability? Where's the, I mean, forget fired. This person should be imprisoned. But where's the, you know, who has been held accountable for this? All them CCTV footage, all the, you know, people go through reports, the supervisors and tenders, like, who's being held accountable? Again, the same way that Christian church, the whole Christian church just needs to just quit and resign and put down the Bible because they have nothing to do with it. The police force should all quit and resign and put down anything to do with justice and the law because they have nothing to do with justice and the law. They just do what they feel like.
The only reason why they did what they did was to degrade me and have that power and control over me. If I was a man, I don't think they would have done it. I was treated like a piece of meat.
And this is a woman that has a husband. Granted, her husband is knocking her upside the head, you know, 2 ways till Sunday, but she has a husband, and she, you know, they still treating her like this. They just, you know, if you have a wife and, you know, God forbid she gets caught with the police, your wife could just be, you know, just violated like that because they have the authority.
Zaina has another serious concern.
Be absolutely clear with me what you think you can remember happening to you.
I believe I was drugged and sexually assaulted during my detainment with Greater Manchester Police.
So she believes not only was she strip searched, she believes she was drugged and sexually assaulted by police officers during her detainment. All right, we're going to get into the evidence.
By more than one police officer?
Yeah.
By more than one officer.
Sky News producer Liz Lane has examined the police logs and 40 hours of the videos. Zaina can't remember the journey in the van, and there's no body cam footage after this moment, even though CCTV obtained separately shows an officer getting in through a side door. It should be...
Damn, good night. Good night. So there's, you know, let's go through that again.
Sky News producer Liz Lane has examined the police logs and 40 hours of the videos. Zaina can't remember the journey in the van, and there's no body...
So she doesn't remember the journey in the van. I mean, she was high on class A. She was high on cocaine. But who knows whatever else they would have given her, right?
Cam footage after this moment.
And there's no body cam footage after she was put into the back of this van and the gates, you know, that cage gate closed.
Even though CCTV obtained separately shows an officer getting in.
But then an officer goes into the side door, into the back, and he doesn't have his body cam footage on. There's no cameras in the back, there's no CCTV, there's no one with their body cam. Meanwhile, at least one officer is in the back, and then Zaina is in the back with this, you know, the woman and an officer is now in the back with no footage, no cameras to record, okay, what's going on?
Through a side door. It should be a 10-minute journey to the police station, but we don't see Zaina again until she arrives in a cell unconscious an hour and a half later.
Good night. So it should be from where she was arrested, where she was put in the van, it should be a 10-minute drive from there to the station. But they don't see her in the station at all until an hour later. You know, traffic can only be so bad. An hour later? Was it an hour or was it more? Let me run it back a touch.
It should be a 10-minute journey to the police station, but we don't see Zaina again until she arrives in a cell unconscious an hour and a half later.
An hour and a half later. An hour and a half later, she's brought into the cell unconscious, and at that point, they cut off her clothes and take off her clothes. An hour and a half. Traffic can only be so bad. An hour and a half is insane. And there's no footage of what was happening. There's no footage that whole hour and a half. There's no record of it.
Zaina had a fight to get hold of her custody logs, and it took a year of battling.
And then she's requesting, okay, can you? I need the footage of what happened because something doesn't feel right. Her body don't feel right. Something's hurting. She has pain. She was strip searched wrongfully. You know what I'm saying? She's out of her mind. She don't know what happened. So she wants the footage to see what happened here. And they fighting her for the footage. They fighting her to send over footage. And when they send it over, let's play on.
To get this cell footage, and it was eventually provided jumbled up, but put in order. The custody logs and the video don't match.
And when they finally send it to her after fighting and fighting, by law, they have to give it to you. They can fight all they want, but by law, I mean, we say by law, but the police break the law all the damn time. But eventually she got the footage, and instead of providing it in a chronological order with the full footage, they provide it jumbled up. You got to puzzle that thing together to get it in the right order. And then also there's missing footage. There's just hours, just gaps missing.
The stripping naked at around 3:30 a.m. is not logged at all.
And then is inconsistent with her, custody logs, which is, again, they have to keep a report of everything that happens while they have you in custody. The video footage is inconsistent with what they've written down, what they reported. So there is just no telling, and there's just hours missing. So there is no telling what type of things they did to this woman.
At 5 a.m. she finds she's been left a top to wear. Logs say a medical examination was carried out at 5:34 and she was mobile and shouting. CCTV shows no medical examination and she sits on the same spot the entire hour. In the 9 o'clock hour, she has a drink by her side and becomes agitated. The CCTV of the next hour is not provided by the police. A worrying omission because...
Good night. So at this time she has a drink by her.
She has a drink by her side and becomes agitated. The CCTV of the next hour...
And she's fearful and she's putting her hand out, you know what I'm saying, because there's clearly something happening. She doesn't want it to happen. And then like the hour after that moment is just, they don't provide that. It's just missing. Somebody went into that cell and abused this woman. And they just, they can't provide the footage because if they did, that would be their head.
Is not provided by the police. A worrying omission because at 11 a.m. Zaina is topless and she's behaving very strangely.
Good night. And then when they finally give, the point where they give the footage back or the footage starts again, she's now randomly topless and is making, gestures, they say sexual gestures and movements.
In a sexual manner.
Why would you withhold footage? The very footage that could...
She has a drink by her side and becomes agitated. The CCTV of the next hour is not provided by the police. A worrying omission because at 11 a.m. Zaina is topless and she's behaving very strangely in a sexual manner.
Why would you withhold footage? The very footage that could either prove or disprove my allegations you will not part with. Who's got something to hide? I'm openly saying that at some point during my detention with Greater Manchester Police, I was drugged and sexually assaulted. Prove me wrong, give me the footage.
Zaina is in a state of undress for the next 26 hours. The log says
she's undressed, just completely undressed for the next 26 hours. How many hours are in a day? 24, for over a day. On top of all the previous footage, right? For over a day, she's just still is provided no clothes. Like what is the she's already been, searched, and they just keep her without clothes for over 26 hours. What is the reason for that? What sick person is just watching this camera, just doing whatever the hell they doing, whatever filth they doing? Good night.
9 times that she's not fit to be detained, yet there she stays. The police log says during a midnight cell visit, Zaina ran at the officer, reached out and grabbed her face, causing 2 scratches down the centre of her forehead and her left cheek. Now see what really happens. She's just given some food. Remember, Zaina was originally only given the police log, which says her actions in this moment should be recorded as a crime. At one point,
And originally, she was just given the log. So they saying she did all these things. You know what I'm saying? A medical exam was taken out. None of that happened. None of that really happened. And they still hiding footage. Good night. She was absolutely assaulted in the cell. And it's you know, this is crazy. This, you know, no nation, regardless of what nation this is, nobody deserves to have something like this happen to them. This is insane. You know, the Bible says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. This is the people that run the earth. And these are the things that they give themselves power to do. Because they, you know, the earth is given to them.
she seems to be bleeding. And during her 40 hours detention, there's another hour of footage missing, just after this moment.
They're leaving
And then
gaps
there's another hour of footage after that moment.
that will only, presumably, breed more suspicion.
Yes.
Does it make you suspicious?
I believe she was raped. I believe she was raped by an officer, and I believe the organisation is covering up.
Zaina went directly to hospital. Her medical report indicates sexual injuries.
When she went to hospital, a medical report indicated sexual injury. She was definitely assaulted by officers or by whoever in that, you know, in that station.
I remember being placed in a transportation vehicle and I just felt a sense of relief, like I'm safe now. Then I remember being in another place and I was safe. And I remember talking to people through a glass window and trying to explain what happened. I'm like pointing here, places where it hurt.
And who were you talking to?
I was actually talking to a hospital staff.
So you realised you got into a hospital.
Yeah.
A spokesperson for Greater Manchester Police said GMP is aware that these individuals are unhappy with the service they received when they were arrested and detained. Their complaints have or are being investigated by the force.
So they're saying, you know, that they're aware that people are unhappy with their experience, with the service they received when they were arrested and detained. So apparently being, you know, strip searched and assaulted in a cell is a service from the GMP. And it's, you know, it's being investigated by the force. Again, you can't trust the amount of cameras and footage is being investigated. They know exactly what's going on. They're trying to see if there's a way they can cover up, as they always do. They find providing footage, they find this, they taking out, they omitting footage, and you know, they saying it's under investigation.
With the service they received when they were arrested and detained. Their complaints have or are being investigated by the force. Though one investigation is ongoing, there is currently no evidence to suggest any GMP employees have misconducted themselves or committed a criminal offence.
Good night. And they say though one is ongoing, there's no evidence to suggest any employees have misconducted themselves or committed any criminal offense. There's no evidence. That's very convenient that we saw the evidence. There was crimes committed. There was no reason for a strip search, and they strip search. That's already a crime. That's an assault. That's an abuse of power. But there's no evidence to suggest any employees have misconducted themselves or committed a crime. So even if they say it wasn't a crime, but there was misconduct. They abused their power. They say they didn't even misconduct themselves. This is just how. So this is just permitted. Just, you know, there's not even any, you know, even if this happens, this is just permitted. They don't even see it as misconduct. Insane.
Offence. Under the definition within the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, 2 of these individuals were not strip searched. Due to concerns for their welfare, their clothing was removed.
And now they're lying and saying they weren't strip searched, but that, you know, due to welfare, their clothing was removed and they were replaced with anti-rip garments. You know what I'm saying? And and this is made an excellent point. It's being investigated by the ones who committed the assault. You know what I'm saying? The same with the church. The church, when they say they're doing investigations, is the same people committing the crime that is investigating the crime. So of course they're gonna say, you know, there was nothing wrong here, nothing happened. No, it was entirely lawful. We only took off the clothes to replace them with anti-rip garments. There was no need to take off the clothes in the first place. And then they lying and omitting footage. It is disgusting. And not only, I'm gonna drop this video, but not only are they strip searching and doing this to women, they're also doing this to men. We're gonna get into this story. Good night. I mean, we a little close on the time, so I'm gonna try to speed through this one a little more.
Last chance to open the door.
When do police have the right to smash your door in, arrest you, or strip search you? Do they ever abuse their authority?
Do they ever abuse their authority? I think we know the answer to that question. Y'all let me know. Do police ever abuse their authority?
The man being dragged away here thinks they do. Mark Dove, who captured the footage on his doorbell camera, is now part of an inquiry which was launched following a Sky News investigation into the custody practices of Greater Manchester Police.
So following that report that we just watched about the custody practices, what happens when they have you in their custody, what they do to you, you know, now this story has come forward of this man being abused.
His story begins 18 months before his door was smashed in, when he was arrested following a family dispute.
What are we arrested for? At the moment, for threats to cause criminal damage.
He says the others were being more aggressive towards him, and he was treated differently because he's black.
So this, I believe, is a brother. So it's a family dispute. There's people arguing. The police show up. They see, you know, a brother with some color. He gets arrested. He gets put into the back of a van, even though there were other people threatening him. He's the one who gets arrested.
I don't like. Just neck in? No, I told him to wind his neck in. Oh, so he's allowed to threaten? Look, Is he allowed to threaten? Has he threatened you directly? No, he's threatened the police van as far as I'm concerned. Shut your mouth and listen to me.
When he got to the police...
So he's being threatened, you know, he was being threatened by, must be probably a white counterpart. I think he looks about mixed race, so probably a white counterpart, right? I think even his wife and his wife is, you know, an oppressor. But, you know, that other person threatened him and nothing happened to that other person. And then the police are telling him to shut up and listen.
Station, he tried to complain.
How do you put a complaint in? I don't know.
Good night. And so he's at the station now. He tries to put a complaint in. He asks, how do I make a complaint? The person says, I don't know, which is an outright lie. But first of all, I don't know to kind of make a complaint is just absolutely incompetent. But we know that every organization has to have a complaints procedure. It has to have a complaints procedure, especially a situation like this where, you know, there's people, what's the word? Abusing their authority. It's known that they can abuse authority. So he's asking, how do I make a complaint? He said, I don't know. You don't know how someone can make a complaint? Anybody in any of these situations should already have been fired and they should be investigated whether they should be arrested and charged. First of all, I don't know. Good, let me just play on. I don't want to be too long-winded, but good night.
Didn't arrest someone that threatened to kill me because they're white.
Mark then refused to answer any questions.
He then starts walking away.
Yeah, that's about white. That's about white. Yeah.
And tells me I'm doing it head in, which we have on video. The next thing, I get took to a cell. I get strip searched.
Initially, he was put into anti-rip garments, but then says police.
And again, what is the reason? He said he was being detained because of threat to cause property damage or criminal damage. He gets strip searched for what? What's the correlation? But they, you know, apparently everybody who goes into that station just happens to, you know, they just get strip searched and replaced with anti-rip garments. Good, stay far away. Listen, if you are a Black, Hispanic, Native Indian man or woman, keep the law, statutes, and commandments of God so you don't end up, you know, just in the custody, in the hands, in the palm, in the damn den of the dragon, and just whatever can happen to you. You keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and live according to the Most High. You come into the ISUPK and be safe from this.
Police told him he'd ripped them, so they took them off him.
They take.
And so, good night. So he was strip searched, and they put on these anti-rip garments. Apparently he ripped them, and so after that they didn't, you know, they didn't provide him with any more clothing. They just left him in the cell completely naked. If the other woman, at one point she had the shorts on, this brother was just completely naked. Just completely naked, humiliated in the cell.
Everything out the cell. Absolutely everything out the cell, and just leaving there naked for 8 hours. It was freezing the cell. I was asking them for blankets. They wouldn't give me any. So I had to use the tap, which runs hot water, to basically just keep myself warm. I was told.
Good night. So they took everything out of the cell. He was left with nothing but his bare skin for 8 hours. He was freezing cold, you know what I'm saying? So he had to run the hot water tap and just splash water in himself to keep himself warm for 8 hours. That, you know, good. Where's the human right? Who's getting, you know, charged for human rights violations? Where's the arrests and where's the imprisonment for these criminals?
But
a criminal can't arrest himself. A criminal ain't gonna put cuffs on himself. It's what they call a conflict of interest.
I can have a blanket.
Last year, a Sky News investigation into the strip searching of 3 women led to the inquiry by the former Victims Commissioner Dame Vera Baird. Initially just looking at the treatment of women in police custody, it broadened when people like Mark came forward. He was arrested and strip searched a second time over similar allegations.
Good night. And they didn't do this once. They arrested and strip searched him again for another time. Another time they, you know, whatever, some family dispute or whatever they claim to arrest this brother for, they strip search him again.
He refused to get into anti-rip clothes and protested over lack of food and medication. A female police officer came to his cell and led him through the custody suite naked.
Good night. So not only did they have him in the holding cell completely naked, now they walking him through the prison with other prisoners looking, with the other officers. This is a female officer. He's just completely naked, just completely humiliated. Emasculated, humiliated, just paraded around naked. This is insane.
I was humiliated. There was even prisoners sat on the benches while I'm stark, absolutely naked, not a sock on, nothing. The staff was laughing at me, the sergeants on the booking-in desk.
Greater Manchester Police told us they have been fully...
And the officers are just laughing. The officers are just laughing. This is some sick, twisted joke.
Engaged with Dame Vera's inquiry and know there are examples in it which reflect poor standards and practices and will respond on publication. An internal investigation into Mark's allegations is ongoing.
You don't have to tell me what you're here for. Why would we tell you now? We're not going to tell you if you won't come down and speak to us.
Now this is the second time they drag him out of his own home.
I don't want to speak to you at time of the morning. Okay.
This 5:40 a.m. visit to Mark's house was the result of an allegation, again from a relative, who said he'd sent a malicious text.
Good night. So apparently a relative of this brother says he sent a malicious text. A text. Cyberbullying. Sent a malicious text, and they pull up to this brother's door at 4:50 a.m. in the morning. Break his door down and drag him out of his home in front of his wife and his child. And then bring him to the station and strip search him again.
The Baird inquiry will examine whether they acted lawfully in smashing his door in and arresting him in front of his partner and daughter. And why on 3 occasions he was also stripped naked.
On 3 occasions. There was a third somewhere where he was stripped naked. For whatever reason they give.
But each time released without charge.
And then each time he's released without charge. This is a good night. Not even a charge, and I can't even. There just ain't no words for this. I can't even. Not even charged, and he gets strip searched 3 times, dragged out of his home, his door broken down like twice.
What's he done? Mum, I'm not going. None of my business. Oh my God.
And is there a wider pattern of police acting outside of their powers? Jason Farrell, Sky News.
So that's the video on that. Let me just sum up this whole thing. Let me share this. I'm short on time, so let me share this last scripture. Let me get it here. Psalms 58 and verse 3. It reads, "The wicked are estranged from the womb." These people right here, they don't have empathy like regular people have empathy. They don't have morals like regular people have some sort of moral code. These people are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born. Good night. This is definitely just going astray from from basic human decency. Speaking lies. All they do is lie upon lie upon lie. They withhold footage. They lie about what they're doing. This is not a just people. This is not a people who should be running this earth. That's why the whole earth is in mourning. The whole earth is in war and in sorrow, in mourning, because this is the man that runs it. They go astray from their born, speaking lies and just covering up their filth with whatever lie they say. Listen, the ISUPK, who Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians need we should police you. You can trust the ISUPK because we keep the law, statutes, and commandments of God. So we would never abuse a brother or sister. We don't just go with our own authority or whatever. We go with what the Bible says. This nation will just make up any lie and abuse you in all manner of ways, and then just cover their backside. And the whole organization would have been covering this up. It has now been reported to like the media and Sky News and investigation. Like this should have already been, sorted out. This should have already been, whoever does this should be fired instantly. There's enough footage, there's enough, other officers on duty, but they're all on one accord in just being vile and perverse people and abusing Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. The last story I'm gonna briefly mention, I know we're a little over on the time, is another story on strip searching. So this has been going over for years and years and years. This vile practice, this humiliating and barbaric practice. This is from the Metropolitan Police. So this is in London. So you have all the way up in the northwest and you have all the way down in the south in London. The whole country, the whole UK is just filled with gross misconduct. All right. Officers served with gross misconduct notices after Black schoolgirl was searched without another adult present. And not only did they strip searched a 15-year-old, young Black woman, a young Black girl, I should say. They strip searched her while at school, and not only that, but it was while she was on her cycle. Right? Let me get that part of the thing. So she was wrongfully suspected of carrying cannabis. So she was wrongfully suspected of carrying weed. Which she didn't have. And let me get it. The strip search prompted after days of protests in Hackney after the schoolgirl was searched without another adult present, which if you're going to strip, for no reason, I don't know, there ain't really a reason to strip search a young child, but apparently if you are going to do so, you need to have an adult present. There was no adult present. 4 officers strip searched this young girl in the knowledge, while knowing, claiming she had weed on her, she was stealing weed, while knowing that she was on a cycle and she was menstruating. You think of how traumatizing and how humiliating that was for that young girl. These are the people that run the earth. These are the people that give you a ticket if you go 5 miles above the speed limit. These are the people that give you fines if you park in the wrong spot, or impound your car if you park in the wrong spot. These are the people that you know, they call you out on everything. It don't take months and months and years of investigation for them to send you a ticket, or for them to, you know, arrest you for your crimes. But for them, you know, it's an ongoing investigation. And with that, that is my show. You know what I'm saying? Let's clap it up. All right, the water for everybody for tuning in. Again, I do this show, Real Time Revelations, every Monday and every Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. All right. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I mean, it was an insane topic, but I hope y'all found this informative, and just know that the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. All right. Now with that, shalom to all my brothers, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Barakatham, and Yahweh Shema Alathan Bahashem Yahushai to all my sisters. All right. Shalom.
Let's get it. I just float with it. Fuck what you did, I'm at your throat with it. You can learn something, take a note with it. Dedicated my life, I took an oath with it. For the blood of my brothers, we don't do no switching. I run with who I run with, ain't no clicking. Try me, do you done with no decision. Lead a scene like a Mack truck with 4 collisions. Pose everywhere, but they ain't gon' vote dissing. Coming at you live and direct, I don't do no dissing.